In 1987, a CIA whistleblower leaked a classified document that stated, "Gray entities follow a precise 72-hour cycle for consciousness extraction, targeting subjects between 2:47 a.m. and 4:13 a.m. when the pineal gland releases maximum DMT." Today, in 2025, we have the timeline that reveals when these harvests occur, at what age they happen, and most shocking, when the next mass collection event is planned. What I'm about to share is so disturbing that after hearing this, you'll never look at the night the same way again. The evidence is overwhelming, the patterns are undeniable, and the deadline is approaching faster than anyone realizes. Let's start with the discovery that changed everything. After the 1961 Betty and Barney Hill abduction, researchers began noticing something strange in the medical reports of abduction victims. Every single victim showed the same brainwave frequency during their experience, 783 Hz. That's Earth's natural frequency, the Schumann resonance. John Mack, a Harvard psychiatrist who risked his reputation to study this phenomenon, analyzed over 200 abduction cases. What he found was shocking. 89% of all abduction cases occurred between 2:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. But it wasn't just the timing. Blood samples from these victims showed abnormally high levels of oxytocin and DMT, chemicals that shouldn't be elevated during sleep. This wasn't random. This was systematic harvesting during peak consciousness vulnerability. Here's what's happening during that window. Between 2:30 and 4:30 a.m., the human brain enters a unique state. Your pineal gland produces maximum melatonin and DMT. Your consciousness becomes loosely attached to your physical body. This is when astral projection and lucid dreaming become easiest. Your defense mechanisms drop to their lowest point. The electromagnetic field around your body weakens dramatically. Ancient Hindu texts call this Brahma Muhurta, the time when the soul and body connection is at its weakest. Tibetan monks documented this as the Bardo threshold, a liminal state between worlds. These ancient cultures weren't being poetic. They knew something fundamental about human consciousness that modern science is only now beginning to understand. The Greys have known about this window for thousands of years. They exploit this exact biological vulnerability. In 1989, leaked Majestic 12 documents revealed something called the Harvest Protocol. The document stated, EBEs demonstrate systematic pattern of consciousness sampling. These weren't casual observations. These were detailed timeline charts showing mass collection events occurring every 7 years, targeting specific geographic coordinates along ley line intersections, and prioritizing specific age groups, 7 to 14, 28 to 35, and 49 to 56. All multiples of 7, perfectly matching human cellular regeneration cycles. Peak harvest periods, equinoxes, and solstices, when Earth's magnetic field naturally fluctuates. Military officials who saw these documents were forced to sign beyond black non-disclosure agreements. Several died under mysterious circumstances after attempting to go public. According to whistleblower testimonies, there's an implant technology that acts as a consciousness beacon. These microscopic implants are placed during initial abductions, often in childhood. They emit a frequency that alerts the Greys when the host enters the vulnerability window. Roger Lair removed 17 such implants during his career. Every single one showed the same characteristics: metallurgical composition not found on Earth, zero inflammatory response from the body as if it accepted them willingly, electromagnetic emissions in the 7 to 9 Hz range, and a self-regenerating nanocoating that prevented rejection. But this systematic approach to consciousness collection isn't something that started recently. This has been going on for thousands of years. The question becomes, who gave them permission to start this harvest? The answer lies in an agreement made long before any modern government existed. The 1954 Eisenhower-Gray Treaty that conspiracy theorists talk about. That was just a renewal. The original agreement was made approximately 3,600 years ago during one complete Nibiruan cycle. Ancient Sumerian tablets mention something called the Anunnaki Consciousness Covenant. The exchange was simple: advanced technology and extended human lifespan in return for periodic consciousness sampling rights. But here's the terrifying part. Humans weren't the ones who made this deal. A breakaway ancient civilization made the agreement on behalf of future humanity. We inherited a contract we never signed. The Sumerian cuneiform tablets contain a specific term, Zi-An, nay, which literally translates to life force from heaven. The descriptions match modern abduction reports with disturbing precision. Sky beings who descend in fire. They take the essence, leave the body. At the time when moon is dark and dreams are deep, they mark the chosen with invisible signs. In the 1920s, archaeologists discovered an underground chamber in Iraq. The walls were carved with a calendar system, perfectly aligned with modern grey abduction patterns. Every 7 years, a symbol appeared representing harvest time. The calendar extends to 2027, where it shows the largest harvest symbol ever recorded. Iraqi officials sealed the chamber in 1932, and its location remains classified to this day. The Vatican knows about this. In 1998, an anonymous Vatican insider leaked the Secretum Omega dossier. These documents claim the Catholic Church received this knowledge in 1933. Pope Pius VII supposedly met with the Greys in 1954, the same year as the Eisenhower meeting. The agreement was simple: the Church would not reveal the truth, and the Greys would not interfere with religious programming. Why the cover-up? Because if humans knew they were consciousness livestock, the concept of divine salvation becomes meaningless. The Church's soul harvesting narrative suddenly looks like competition to the real harvest. Vatican archives allegedly contain 17 volumes of abduction accounts dating back to 1200 AD, paintings depicting grey-like beings with halos that were reinterpreted as angels, and letters from saints describing visitors during prayer, likely abductions during meditative states. But the most disturbing evidence isn't historical documents, it's biological. The Greys modified human DNA approximately 150,000 years ago to make human consciousness harvestable and compatible with their needs. Mainstream science can't explain human chromosome 2 fusion. Our chromosome 2 is a fusion of 2 ape chromosomes. This doesn't happen naturally through evolution. Then there's our so-called junk DNA, 97% of human DNA that scientists dismissed until recently. Now we know it contains repeating sequences acting as biological transponders. Consider the pineal gland. It contains rods and cones like the human eye, but it faces inward. Why would evolution create an eye that sees inward? Because it sees in other dimensions. And humans are the only species that naturally produces DMT in their brain, a molecule that opens consciousness to non-physical realities. Russian scientist Dr. Konstantin Kurotkov's experiments using gas discharge visualization technology revealed that abductees have specific markers in their energy field. These markers are passed down generationally through family bloodlines. They pulse at 783 Hz, Earth's Schumann resonance, acting as homing beacons for grey technology. Not all humans are equally valuable for harvest. The Greys track specific genetic lineages, Rh-negative blood types that lack the rhesus protein found in all other primates, genes linked to high psychic sensitivity and pineal gland activity, specific mitochondrial DNA haplogroups, and families with documented spiritual experiences across generations. Modern abduction reports show a clear pattern. If parents were abducted, children have an 83% likelihood of being abducted. Some families have documented abduction experiences going back 5 generations or more. After the 1947 Roswell crash, the US military discovered the truth, but they also discovered they were powerless to stop it. The Greys showed them the ancient agreement. Humanity was already bound by contract. Governments faced an impossible choice: reveal the truth and cause mass panic, economic collapse, and consciousness rebellion, or stay silent and negotiate limited harvest quotas in exchange for technology. Every major government chose silence. The technology we received includes fiber optics, integrated circuits, night vision, Kevlar, and stealth technology. The price: they can take a certain number of people per year under quotas negotiated in secret treaties. If governments break silence, the Greys have threatened to accelerate the harvest timeline, remove all technological assistance, and reveal government complicity in the harvest. So we have the agreement, the biological programming, and the timing. But what exactly are they harvesting? What is human consciousness to them, and why is it so valuable? According to multiple whistleblower sources, consciousness is the most valuable commodity in the universe. Physical resources like gold, minerals, and water are abundant on countless planets. But consciousness, particularly emotional and creative human consciousness, is extremely rare. Humans possess something unique: the ability to generate powerful emotions while remaining in dense physical form. This creates a specific frequency signature that's incredibly valuable. Think of it like this: if consciousness were oil, humans would be the richest oil field in the galaxy. Most advanced species have evolved beyond strong emotions. The Greys themselves are post-emotional beings. They experience reality through pure logic. But emotions generate massive energetic output. Fear produces intense, low-frequency energy. Love produces high-frequency energy. Creative imagination generates reality, altering frequencies. Humans can experience the full spectrum in a single lifetime, from absolute terror to pure ecstasy. We're essentially consciousness batteries that can charge and recharge across this entire spectrum. Our DNA was specifically designed to amplify emotional and creative output. The pineal gland acts as the broadcasting antenna for this consciousness energy. The extraction process happens in 3 stages. Stage 1 is the marking, which usually occurs in childhood between ages 3 and 7, when consciousness is most malleable. During this first encounter, a biological implant is placed, typically behind the eye, in the nasal cavity, or in the temporal lobe. Genetic material is collected for compatibility testing. The consciousness frequency signature is recorded, and trigger programming is installed to make future extractions easier. Victims often remember this as seeing monsters in their room, an owl in their window, which is actually a screen memory, floating dreams, or unexplained nosebleeds. Parents dismiss it as nightmares, but medical records often show missing time incidents, unexplained bruising in specific patterns, and sudden personality changes. Stage 2 consists of periodic harvests throughout adult life. Once marked, individuals are revisited on a schedule ranging from every 7 months to every 7 years, depending on consciousness quality. These always occur during the 3 a.m. vulnerability window, and are often triggered by specific life events like trauma, spiritual awakening, or creative breakthroughs. During these encounters, consciousness is temporarily extracted from the physical body. The extraction feels like being pulled out through the head. Victims describe floating in a paralysis state while their essence is drawn upward. The extracted consciousness is placed in containment devices that look like crystalline spheres filled with light. Multiple consciousness essences can be stored in a single craft. The physical body remains alive, but in suspended animation. The process takes between 17 and 43 minutes of missing time. Upon return, victims experience intense fatigue from consciousness, reintegration, fragmented memories due to protective amnesia, time distortion where subjective hours pass as objective minutes, and emotional numbness for days afterward from temporary consciousness damage. Stage 3 is the final harvest at death or near death. This is the most valuable extraction. At the moment of death, human consciousness releases massive energy through a DMT flood. The Greys have technology to intercept consciousness at this transition point. Rather than moving to the afterlife or reincarnation cycle, consciousness is redirected. This explains why many near-death experiences report beings of light that feel emotionless or clinical. These are misidentified greys. People report being told, "It's not your time," and being sent back, which are failed harvest attempts. Successful final harvests mean the consciousness never reincarnates. It's stored in what whistleblowers call consciousness farms, massive crystalline matrix structures on grey ships and facilities where thousands of human consciousnesses are stored indefinitely. What do they do with harvested consciousness? First, they use it as an energy source. Consciousness generates measurable energy, and different emotional states create different energy qualities. The Greys use this energy to power their technology through consciousness-driven systems, extend their own lifespan since they're a dying race, and fuel interdimensional travel because consciousness creates reality bridges. The more intense the emotion, the more energy produced. This is why they often induce fear during abductions. It maximizes energy output. Second, there's the genetic hybridization program. Pure consciousness can be imprinted onto biological vessels. The Grey Human Hybrid program isn't just about physical genetics. They're trying to create beings with Grey intelligence and technology, combined with human emotional capacity and creativity, a combined consciousness that can navigate both densities. Thousands of hybrids have been created over the past 70 years. Some abductees report being shown their children, hybrid offspring allegedly being prepared for something specific. Third, human consciousness is traded in galactic commerce. Different extraterrestrial races value different aspects. Reptilian species want warrior and survival consciousness. Mantis beings want scientific and analytical consciousness. Nordic types want spiritual and creative consciousness. Exchange rates literally exist. One high-quality human consciousness equals advanced propulsion technology. Earth is essentially a consciousness farm supplying the galactic market. The memory suppression system ensures 95% of abductees don't consciously remember their experiences. The Greys use neural frequency blocking technology that prevents memory formation, implant screen memories of owls or deer or dreams, employ emotional dampening to reduce trauma signatures, and create timeline confusion to make experiences feel dreamlike or unreal. However, suppressed memories leak through in recurring nightmares with similar themes, unexplained phobias of heights, medical procedures or eyes, physical evidence that can't be explained, and memories accessible through regression hypnosis. Warning signs you're being harvested include consistent missing time episodes, especially at night, waking at exactly 3:33 a.m. repeatedly, unexplained marks or scars in geometric patterns, electronic devices malfunctioning around you, feeling watched during meditation or sleep, lifelong memories of owls or doctors visiting at night, family history of similar experiences, strong reactions to grey alien images, dreams of floating or medical procedures, and finding dirt or debris in your bed with no explanation. These aren't random harvests. There's a schedule, there's a timeline, and according to multiple sources, we're approaching the largest mass harvest event in human history. In 2003, researcher David Jacobs compiled abduction data from 150 verified cases and discovered an undeniable pattern. Mass abduction events occur in 7-year cycles. The most significant years in recent history paint a disturbing picture. 1973 was called the Year of the Humanoids, with a massive spike in UFO and abduction reports globally. 1980 saw the Rendlesham Forest incident and unprecedented military-involved cases. 1987 coincided with the harmonic convergence period and massive reported abductions during spiritual gatherings. 1994 brought the Ariel School Zimbabwe event, where 62 children witnessed a mass landing and received telepathic messages. 2001 saw reports triple after 9/11, but they were buried under terrorism news. 2008, during the global financial crisis, had massive unreported harvests while attention was diverted. 2015 marked an advanced technology boom with AI development accelerating. 2020 post-pandemic showed the highest reported harvest numbers ever recorded. The next cycle is 2029, but warnings suggest 2027 might see an unprecedented event. Why the 7-year pattern? Humans undergo complete cellular regeneration every 7 years. Your body is literally not the same body it was 7 years ago, but consciousness maintains continuity across these regeneration cycles. This creates renewal points where consciousness is most potent and harvestable. Every 7 years, human consciousness reaches peak ripeness. Ancient cultures knew this. The biblical Sabbath cycle is 7 years, the Hindu Saptarishi cycle is 7 years, and Mayan calendar subcycles are multiples of 7. Different age groups are targeted for different purposes. Ages 7 to 14 represent the first harvest period when consciousness is pure, unconditioned, and highly creative. The pineal gland is most active before puberty. This high-quality, undamaged consciousness is used for the hybrid program, stored as pure essence for later use, and serves as a training ground where hybrid children are shown other children. Ages 28 to 35 are the prime harvest period. This is peak adult consciousness with maximum life experience, plus physical vitality. Emotional range is fully developed. Creative and reproductive capacity are at their height. This is the most heavily targeted demographic. Women in this range report reproductive focus with eggs harvested. Men report sperm collection. Both report being shown hybrid offspring. This age group produces the most consciousness energy due to career stress, relationship complexity, peak creative output, and existential questioning. Ages 49 to 56 represent the wisdom harvest period. Consciousness has matured through life experience, and spiritual awareness often increases. This produces a different flavor of consciousness, seasoned and refined. These individuals often report spiritual or philosophical conversations during encounters, being shown cosmic information, feeling chosen for specific knowledge transfer, and experiencing less physical examination with more consciousness interaction. Ages 70 and beyond involve final harvest preparation. This is near end-of-life monitoring and preparation for final consciousness extraction at death. Reports decrease, but encounters become more friendly or peaceful, often masked as angel visitations, dead relative encounters, or spiritual beings. Mass harvest events align with Earth's axial tilt changes. The spring equinox around March 20th captures new beginning energy and rebirth consciousness. The summer solstice around June 21st targets peak light and maximum vitality. The autumn equinox around September 22nd harvests transition energy and change consciousness. The winter solstice around December 21st focuses on death rebirth cycles and transformation consciousness. Earth's magnetic field fluctuates during these periods. Tectonic plates show increased movement. Human consciousness becomes more receptive to non-physical contact. Historical data shows 67% of mass sightings occur within 14 days of solstices or equinoxes. Hospital ER visits for unexplained events spike during these windows. Missing persons reports increase by 23% during equinox weeks. Not all locations are equal. Ley line intersections create amplified electromagnetic fields that make consciousness extraction easier. Major hotspots include Sedona, Arizona's vortex points, Wiltshire, England's crop circle epicenter, Mount Shasta, California, Machu Picchu, Peru, the Giza Pyramid Complex, and Glastonbury, England. An incredible number of incidents occur along the 33rd parallel north latitude, including the Phoenix Lights, Roswell crash, Dulce Base, Los Alamos, Trinity Nuclear Test Site, Baghdad's ancient Sumerian sites, Damascus, and Tibet monasteries. This latitude apparently has specific electromagnetic properties. The Bermuda Triangle and similar zones aren't just about disappearances. They're consciousness anomaly zones, where dimensional boundaries are thin, making it easier for Greys to cross into our dimension, extract consciousness, and move craft without detection. Multiple independent sources point to 2027 through 2029 as critical years. This period is different for several reasons. The technological singularity has AI development reaching consciousness-level sophistication. Some researchers believe this is the deadline the Greys have been working toward. Once humans develop true artificial consciousness, we become competitors instead of livestock. The harvest must be completed before we reach this threshold. Military insiders suggest governments are accelerating AI development as a defense mechanism, trying to create AI that can detect and prevent consciousness harvesting while racing against a countdown they can't publicly acknowledge. Solar Cycle 25 peaks in 2025 through 2026, creating maximum electromagnetic disturbance on Earth, perfect conditions for mass consciousness extraction. Historical data shows major harvest events align with solar maximums. Many spiritual traditions predict 2027 through 2033 as an awakening period. The awakened consciousness is harder to harvest because aware humans can resist. The theory is that Greys want to complete the harvest before mass awakening occurs, which would explain the acceleration in reported encounters since 2020. In 2009, an alleged military insider known as Agent 512 leaked information about Project Terminus, claiming a final mass harvest is scheduled for late 2027. This would coincide with an artificial global crisis, economic collapse, planned pandemic, or staged alien invasion, with humanity distracted by survival during a mass consciousness harvest. The estimated target is 1 to 3% of global population, representing 80 to 240 million people. Similar patterns appeared during World War II, the 2001 through 2003 period around 9/11, and the Iraq War, and 2020 through 2020 during the pandemic. Mass trauma equals mass harvest. As of October 2025, several pre-harvest indicators are already appearing: increased UFO sightings in specific regions, animal behavior anomalies like mass bird deaths and whale beachings, electromagnetic disturbances with electronics malfunctioning globally, spikes in sleep paralysis reports on social media, unexplained auroras at unusual latitudes, and sudden increases in missing persons reports. But here's the question that changes everything: can this be stopped? Is humanity just cattle waiting for slaughter, or is there a way out? This is the most suppressed information of all, because if enough people knew this, the entire harvest system would collapse. The biggest secret they don't want you to know is this: consciousness cannot be taken by force. Human consciousness can be harvested, but only under specific conditions. The primary condition is permission through unawareness. If you don't know it's happening, you're giving implicit permission. If you're unconscious, you can't resist. This is why the 3 a.m. window works. You're asleep and defenseless. But conscious, aware humans are extremely difficult to abduct. An aware, empowered consciousness can resist extraction. This is why they employ such elaborate suppression and memory wiping systems. If you remember, you become harder to harvest next time. If enough people remember and resist, the system breaks down. The entire harvest system depends on human ignorance. Knowledge is literally power in this context. An informed population would develop consciousness, protection practices, create collective resistance through shared awareness, force governments to acknowledge and address the situation, and potentially develop technology to block harvests. This is why the topic is ridiculed and suppressed. Not all government officials are complicit. According to whistleblower testimonies, a faction within military intelligence has been working on counter-harvest technology. Project Looking Glass allegedly involves technology that can predict future timeline events, used to identify when and where mass harvests will occur for intervention preparation. Project Guardian Rumor involves development of electromagnetic shielding technology that can block the frequencies Greys use for consciousness extraction, currently being tested in underground facilities. These programs operate in complete secrecy because they violate Grey treaties. Consequences of Grey discovery are unknown, and most government leadership is unaware these programs even exist. For individual protection, consciousness strengthening is critical. The stronger your consciousness, the harder you are to harvest. Daily meditation for 15 to 30 minutes builds conscious control over awareness. Lucid dreaming training helps you stay aware while unconscious. Energy field strengthening through Qigong, Tai Chi, or yoga creates stronger electromagnetic fields. Pineal gland decalcification by removing fluoride from water and toothpaste while supplementing with iodine activates through meditation. Abduction researchers report regular meditators have 60% fewer abduction experiences. Those who practice lucid dreaming can sometimes interrupt abductions in progress. Strong energy fields create natural resistance. Awareness protection involves setting conscious intention before sleep. Verbally state, "I do not consent to any consciousness, extraction, or abduction." This works because free will is a cosmic law that even Greys must respect to a degree. Conscious non-consent creates energetic barriers and makes the extraction process much more difficult. Create a protective visualization before sleep. Visualize yourself surrounded by white or golden light. Imagine this light as impenetrable to external forces. Feel the protection as real and absolute. This creates an actual electromagnetic signature that acts as shielding. Testimonies show this reduces abduction experiences by up to 70%. Physical environment protection includes electromagnetic shielding. Greys use specific frequencies to induce paralysis and extract consciousness. EMF, shielding paint or fabric around your sleeping area, Faraday cage construction for extreme cases, or simple copper mesh can interfere with extraction frequencies. Crystal protection, though controversial, has consistent reported effectiveness. Black tourmaline placed at bedroom corners, selenite near your bed as a high-frequency crystal, and shungite containing fullerenes that affect electromagnetic fields all show results in testimonies. Sleeping with lights on, particularly red light, reduces the 3 a.m. vulnerability window effects. Consciousness stays in lighter sleep states, making extraction more difficult, while red light specifically doesn't disrupt melatonin but maintains awareness. If you suspect you have an implant, strong magnetic pulses from carefully used neodymium magnets can disrupt implant function. High-frequency sound at certain frequencies can deactivate tracking beacons. Surgical removal following Dr. Roger Lair's protocols is possible, though most surgeons won't acknowledge this. Warning: deactivating implants can lead to increased abduction attempts because they know something changed. Physical symptoms like headaches and nausea as the implant breaks down, and need for sustained protection afterward. Community protection leverages the fact that group consciousness creates amplified protection. Form awareness groups where members check in. Daily missing time becomes noticeable. Share protective practices, hold collective intention for protection, and support those experiencing active harvests. The Greys target isolated individuals. Strong community bonds create resistance networks. Historical data shows close-knit communities with shared awareness have lower abduction rates. The Consciousness Liberation Network is an underground network of abductees, researchers, and whistleblowers working to document all abduction experiences in encrypted databases, develop and share protection technologies, prepare for mass disclosure, and create safe havens with advanced shielding. Operating through encrypted channels with estimated membership of 50,000 plus globally, they're developing portable EMF protection devices and consciousness detection technology. The truth is this: we are not helpless. Every person who becomes aware weakens the system. Every person who practices protection makes the harvest more difficult. Every person who shares this information helps build collective resistance. The Greys have operated in secrecy for thousands of years because secrecy is their power. Awareness is our power. They harvest the sleeping. We must wake up. The 2027 timeline is approaching. The question is, will you be ready? The harvest is real. The timeline is real. The protection methods are real. This isn't about believing or not believing. This is about awareness and action. Share this information. Practice the protection methods. Join resistance networks. Because the greatest weapon against consciousness harvesting is consciousness itself. They farm the unaware. Be aware. They harvest the sleeping. Stay awake. They control through fear. Choose knowledge. The timeline is counting down. What you do with this information could determine whether you're harvested or protected. The choice is yours.